Well, hello everyone to the Samuel Chapman Comedy Hour. I am very excited to meet you all. I'm very glad you could come. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun today. I just wanted to say a couple things. To begin, I'm 25 years old. My name is Samuel David Chapman. My name is kind of interesting because it's Samuel David Chapman. You know, my relatives, if I ever have some nieces and nephews, they can call me Uncle Sam. If I name my kid after myself, I can call him Sammy David Jr. And but on the other hand, he might just be called Son of Sam, so that's, you know, not too good. I'm not dating anybody right now, but you know, I think if I would ever ask somebody out on a date or something, you know how sometimes you ask people out on dates and they say, oh well, I already have a boyfriend or I'm engaged. I was thinking, if I were to do that, I thought of a couple pickup lines that might work. How about if somebody told me they were engaged, I could say, well, what a wonderful way to test your loyalty to your boyfriend. Or I could say, oh, just think how popular you'll be if you have not just one but two boyfriends. But that might work, it might not. I was thinking, one thing I might want to try to avoid is getting a girl pregnant before I'm married. My mom told me that if I did that, she told me I had to get a job. I don't want to get a job. On the other hand, what if I were to get a girl pregnant that was really rich? For example, Ashley Olsen, net worth $150 million. Would my mom, instead of saying, get a job, would my mom say, good job? Perhaps, as you know, like Larry Burkhead, who was recently found out to be Anna Nicole Smith's daughter's husband, or I'm sorry, father. But anyways, another reason I should probably try to avoid getting somebody pregnant is that, you know, you talk to people about it, and some people are kind of judgmental about that kind of thing, and you tell them about it, and they do the math, and they say stuff like, oh, I see, I see, you are one of those people, aren't you? And if they have a kid who's old enough to do the math, but maybe too young to be tactful, you know, you have the kid there by him, and they're like, Mommy, I don't understand. You told me that the mommies and daddies got married first before having kids. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense, Mommy. And I don't want to be caught in that kind of crossfire. But once I do have kids, let me tell you a little bit about my parenting strategies. I don't think I'm going to tell my kids about the Easter Bunny or Santa or the Tooth Fairy or anything like that. And let me tell you why. When you have kids and you give them presents for Christmas, who gets all the credit for those presents? Who? Santa. And he doesn't even exist. I want to ask my kids, hey, who gives you all the presents for Christmas? Daddy! You know, but I think, on the other hand, maybe I will tell them about the Tooth Fairy, because I was thinking, wouldn't it be funny to, you know, your kid puts his tooth under the pillow, and try this. Don't put anything at all under the pillow for the first night. And when the kid asks what happened, you say, well, maybe the Tooth Fairy was busy, or maybe, you know, the Tooth Fairy just forgot. Why don't you leave your tooth under the pillow for another night? And so the kid does that. And the second night, just slip some coal under the pillow or something. And I think that'd be kind of funny. I mean, that's funny, isn't it? Being cruel. No, don't do that to your kids. Don't do that. I remember this last Christmas here, I really wanted a Nintendo Wii, and I told my parents if they didn't give me a Nintendo Wii, it'd be like those movies where somebody does something and they say, "You've ruined Christmas." And I told them they would ruin Christmas if they didn't give me a Nintendo Wii. Well, I didn't get my Nintendo Wii. But so what I did is I called Child Protective Services, and I told them, yes, I would like to report an abuse. And they said, okay, what's the name of your child? And I said, I'm the child. I want my Nintendo Wii. And they hung up on me, so that was too bad. I remember when I was in high school, I played video games a lot. I still do. And one time I was playing best game of all time, Alpha Centauri. I played it all night. And my mom would always tell me, don't play video games all night. Don't play video games all night. Well, I did that. So I was sitting there in the kitchen playing Alpha Centauri, you know, and it was in the morning, and I'm just sitting there, you know. My mom comes up and she says, Samuel, were you up all night playing video games? You know, and I don't quite stop playing. You know, I'm just kind of going like that. I'm like, yeah. She says, you did? And I said, yeah. She says, you did? And I figured, you know, at this point I'm kind of in trouble, but I didn't stop playing because it was that important. It was a very good game. You guys like Zelda? That's another good game, isn't it? Yeah. You know how in Zelda, whenever Link finds a new item, you know, he raises it over his head and you hear this noise like, da-na-na-na, like that? Wouldn't it be funny if that happened in real life? Like you're looking for your keys, right? You're looking for your keys, you're like, where are my keys? Where are my keys? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Oh, here they are. Na-na-na-na. Would that kind of thing happen if you lost your virginity? Na-na-na-na. I don't know. But well, I've talked about my life. I've talked about my life. Let me talk about my death a little bit. You know how I want to die? I'll tell you how I want to die. I want to die in a missile attack. And I'll tell you why. First of all, you don't know what's coming and you don't feel any pain, right? Second of all, when people see it, they're like, oh my gosh, Samuel died. That's horrible. I mean, who can not have sympathy for being somebody who's been blown to a billion pieces, right? Incinerated in a giant fireball. So I'll get sympathy from everybody. But third, everybody who sees it will look at it and be like, they'll secretly think to themselves, wow, that was awesome. I've never seen something like that before. And so, you know, what a way to go. So think about that. Maybe you can all have the privilege of being blown up by a missile someday. I want to talk a little bit about TV shows and movies. Have you guys ever seen Home Alone? Yeah, everybody's seen Home Alone. I don't need to ask that. I was thinking, wouldn't it be funny if, you know how Kevin is always going down in the basement in that movie, and he thinks that the heater or whatever that is going to hurt him because he's scared of it. He says, "Roar, I'm going to get you, Kevin. I'm going to eat you." And then in the middle of the movie, he's become self-supportive enough that he isn't scared of it. And he says, "I'm not scared of you." And he, you know, it's a big moment for him. Well, wouldn't it be funny if in the middle of the movie, he comes down to the heater, and the heater goes, "Roar," and eats him? And then the movie just keeps on going for the next 45 minutes. You know, and then finally his parents come home and they're like, "Kevin!" Ah! And they just see a skeleton. I think more directors should have the courage to make that kind of movie, you know. Push the limits of cinema, if you will. I'm making my own movie, by the way. It's a biography of Helen Keller, as told by her eyes and ears. What I'm going to do is go to Blockbuster and buy a blank tape for $1.50, and it'll probably write itself. Have you guys seen the movie The Core? Or I'm sorry, have you seen the movie Cars? Yeah, it's a good movie, isn't it? It has good graphics. You know, Pixar makes pretty good movies. I thought the sex scene was very tastefully done. No, I'm just kidding. There's no sex scene in the movie. I mean, come on, let's be honest with ourselves. I mean, the mechanics of it alone. I mean, you get it? Mechanics? Cars? Yeah? Okay. You ever seen the movie The Core? You know, it's the movie where the magnetic field of the Earth is deteriorating and it allows harmful radiation onto the atmosphere and it'll burn people to a crisp. There's this one part of the movie where there's a lightning storm that destroys the Colosseum. In another part of the movie... Oh no. Who did that? Who did that? Anybody else want to leave their cell phone on?